the only way to be a good parent is to be the power of example. Like, how do I inspire my children to follow their dreams if I'm not following mine? Right? You become the hypocrite. And it's not that people, like parents that don't follow their dreams, can't inspire their children, but I want to lead by example, right? I want to be the leader that is doing the things that he is telling other people to do.
Yo, 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 lovers. Welcome to Sex, Love, and Everything in Between. We're the O'Neills. You're here with Meg and Jacob.
And this is the place we have really uncensored conversations about sex, intimacy, and relationships. We're super excited you're here. Enjoy this episode.
Yo, yo, lovers. Welcome to another episode of Sex, Love, and Everything in Between. Meg has been kicked out of the chair. It's bro time. It's men's work time. It's all the things. But yeah, I'm super excited about this one. This is with my brother Tyran Mowbray. Welcome, bro.
Hey, man. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Stoked, man.
Sorry, Meg.
And we're in the new house. We've got aircon. This is going to be such a physically comfortable experience. The funny thing that really bonds us, bro, is that we both have a tendency to find ways to make ourselves suffer.
Yeah.
Whereas today there is no suffering. We're enjoying ourselves immeasurably. The thing about this podcast too, guys, is that Tyran and I have a very, very different story, but there's so many common underlying experiences or the underlying message or the underlying goal that we've both taken from our journey. And we're two young bulls that want very similar things from our personal lives, from our work, and from our relationships. So for me, this is going to be a really awesome conversation about like two men that want great, amazing lives, but have lived very different experiences, but can find that common ground because we're both constantly in a state of contemplation and deep reflection and actually taking time to ask ourselves, is what we're doing in integrity? Is what we're doing aligned with our values and our vision? And how can we continue to not just do better because we don't feel enough, but how can we continually grow and evolve in a way that serves us and those around us?
Yeah, I feel like we started similar. You know, we've got a similar kind of background, more country living and, you know, mum, dad and stuff. And we want the same outcome. Yeah, more or less.
Yeah,
but the pathways that we've both taken from where we started to where we're going have been wildly different.
Drastically
different.
Definitely, bro. Did you want to just maybe share a little bit of your journey? Because we've been kicking it for probably like a year, probably only like a year and a half, 2 years. Maybe we've sort of been in each other's field in a more regular way. But I don't know everything about you, but maybe just your journey of up until kind of like finding, like deepening into your purpose and sort of arriving at this sort of the last 2 years. What's that journey been like for you?
Yeah. So grew up in country South Australia, playing footy, drinking, taking drugs, trying to root as many women as would let me, you know, just typical country Australian behavior.
Yep.
And, you know, I guess I grew up having this idea of what a man is and what a man should be. And then I got into construction, which just further amplified that concept of what a man is. And I mean, played footy, had heaps of mates, you know, like everything was going good. Bought my first house at 23, my second one at 25, you know, renovated it, had been in a 3-year relationship, was, you know, wanting to have a family and thought that everything was going the way that it should.
You've ticked all the boxes is what I'm hearing.
All the boxes, 25, 2 houses, 2 cars, 2 football premierships, a girlfriend, slept with a bunch of women, you know. I was like, well, yeah, like, you know, I've been on a couple little overseas holidays, nothing crazy. And then something happened and I basically I was miserable. Like, well, not something happened. I was miserable, even though I had what I was supposed to have. And
were there any signs
of my misery?
Yeah.
From that other people could pick up?
Or that like, you know, we talk about this idea of reflecting. It's like because like what you're talking about, bro, I envied, I had a couple of mates who'd been able to buy houses and a couple of guys driving SS utes or got a Land Cruiser ute. And I I still couldn't get all that, but I wanted that. And I had the relationship and all of those other things I was working toward as like a 20-year-old kid. So I never really got to that stage because I went away to uni. But were there signs of your misery? Were there signs, did you have any kind of blowouts or anything that happened that were signs that now you reflect on, like, oh, if I had someone, or if I had a mentor or someone that could have like pointed out that, hey, this is showing you that something needs to change?
Oh, 100%. Drink driving 4 times.
Yeah.
Wrote 3 cars off.
Yeah.
Drink driving. So yeah, lost my license for, all up it was 4.5 years, but there was one time when it was indefinite and I had to apply to even get it back. Like I had to be like, hey, I think I've served my time. Can I please have my license back? But it was disqualified indefinitely.
Wow.
I had the bikies kicking my door with bats and chains. 4 bikies show up. My mate was staying at my house with his 6-year-old kid at the time. Yeah, I mean, I had people smash up my car because I was doing bad things. Yeah, but I wouldn't call them drug overdoses, but definitely like way too many drugs with like freak out moments. Yeah, there were lots and lots of smaller moments of things like that.
And did that almost feel more normal to you, that those kind of like, because they're like high intense, like crashing cars, like that's such a that's a country man thing to, like, you know, unfortunately I've had a couple of mates die crashing cars and things have, you know, it is not uncommon out there to be a little bit fucking loose.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fuck, we weren't even 18 once we got our license and we're, out in the country, not allowed to go to the pubs. So what do? Just go fucking hang burnouts and stuff all out on country roads. And I remember mate had a ute and we're driving in the back and we're doing about 80 Ks down a dirt road. I'm holding onto the little chain that he used to tie his dog to. And he hits a train track on a dirt thing. So obviously it raised and then the train track and went down. And if I wasn't holding onto that rope, I was gone. I was out the back of the ute. I don't know what happened. His, 50 kilo toolbox that sits in the back, that elevated, that flew, like that could have crushed me. I was like, when you see the motocross and they let go and they hold on to the back of the bike.
Yeah.
That's what it was like for me, holding onto the back of this chain, looking over the front of the ute, and then we'd like landed, crashed, and I'm laughing and joking because we weren't drunk, but we're 17. We thought it was the fucking funniest shit ever. And so many times where like we could have died any moment of that car ride in the back at 80 Ks in the dark.
That shit's exciting, man. Like that feeds a fucking idiot 17-year-old young man. Like for me,
you think you're invincible.
Yeah, you're literally seeking out ways to challenge that.
Yeah.
And I think that's, the work that both you and I do is really about like creating appropriate places for men to exercise that appropriate ways. And that's what I think, especially young countrymen, we do have a little bit more freedom and probably not as much structure as the city. So we're constantly looking. Well, we've got the freedom. Like, go out on the country road, do the stupid thing, jump out of the tree into the dam. Chase the wild animals, or you got guns, and there's so many things that we're exposed to that give us that kind of rush. Motorbikes, push bikes, all the things. So, man, it's cool to be able to look back and be like, oh yeah, there were definitely worse signs, and I think that's why. Mentoring young men and stepping into fatherhood and all that stuff that we're going to talk about today is, for me, imperative in creating appropriate spaces.
Yeah,
that's what one of my mates, Leon, speaks about. He's like, initiation, it's just an appropriate place where you can build a relationship with death. It's appropriate. And he's like, that's the most important word there, because if there isn't an appropriate place for men to go and do this, they're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And that's my experience.
When do you feel the most alive? When you almost died.
Yeah.
And I think our whole society has such a bad relationship with death in general, because we want to make life as comfortable as possible. We want to keep life as long as possible. We're afraid of anyone getting sick or hurt or pain or suffering in any way, that we then, we try to separate ourselves from death in every regard. And it's a part of the kind of masculine core spirit is to almost seek it out and to stare it in the face and be prepared to meet it.
Yeah, it's a really important relationship for men to cultivate and find ways to do it that are appropriate. I'm just really just tuning into that's the essence of the work that I do is to give guys a healthy dose of death, in a way that doesn't mean they, that doesn't create like the holding onto the back of the dog chain on the back of a ute, that sort of stuff, and you can't stop that. It's not about stopping men from doing that. It's about how do we create these containers where men can have a more appropriate, like the word appropriate just seems so right, man.
But with the same sensation.
Yeah, with the same sensation.
Yeah.
And
like jumping out of a plane. I'm a qualified skydiver as well, and it's like there ain't nothing more present than jumping out of a plane and staring at the floor as you're falling at 220 k's an hour.
That. Fuck that, man. And like the other thing too, I posted on a podcast of these women who are speaking around like men all of a sudden starting to like run marathons and smoke, slow cook brisket and do these, they play golf or they do these more enduring sports or activities. And there's a key distinction, and I want to talk about this because we both experienced this. Is like there comes a point when you potentially stop doing the high impact adrenaline inducing action or extreme things as much, like the skydiving or the backs of the ute or the motorbikes, and you start to lean towards these like, how far can I push myself physically and mentally over a long period of time? And you did your ultra last year?
Yeah, the Ironman.
The Ironman last year. And I did a 100K run, and like these are the things that
in sandals.
Yeah, in sandals. And these are the things that are putting like that. I was just like, oh, dude, you doing your Ironman? I was like, I get it. I get that because it's feeding that part of me that like that was the a little bit batshit crazy when I was a teenager and in my early 20s.
Yeah, I mean that part will never die. I'm an extremist in every way,
Yep.
And for me, I'd never run more than say 15 Ks before, and I moved to the Gold Coast, started running on my own. Then
you move to the Gold Coast, you're going to start running, just
pretty much.
Yeah, you've got to be okay with that.
And then I'd swum a little bit. I'd swum in the pools.
Yeah,
and never done open water swimming. I'd done one as a Olympic triathlon, and it just like freaked me out. Open water swimming just freaked me the fuck. It's completely different to lap swimming in a pool, and so I started, for me, it's another way of facing death, and when I'm out past the break at Burleigh swimming a couple of Ks horizontally along the coastline, I'm on high alert because I'm not in my natural habitat. Every stroke is like, I feel like I'm facing off with death. There's a shark, there's a this, there's a that, there's a whatever. And it's, even if they're not there, it's still me in my own mind, which is ultimately what it always is.
Correct.
But same as running a marathon or an Ironman. So that's, an Ironman's what, a 4K swim, 180K bike ride, then a 42 kilometer run. Every step, every push on the bike, every stroke in the pool was death. It was like, can I go one more? Can I go one more? I'm fucked. Can I go one more? And it was, at the end, I've had such a come down from that experience that I haven't rode a push bike since. That was July last year. And I've swam next to none and I've run next to none. And it's like, there's been such a come down after that peak experience of like, I'm afraid of what else I could do if I was that motivated for one thing. Because it's like, well, in 9 months, I trained and ran an Ironman. What could I do with 10 years?
Yeah, that's for me, like the thing that I feel most deeply connected to, like your story that feels resonant with mine is like, to work towards some greater goal is really important for my discipline and my consistency. Yeah. Because if I'm not running, if I'm running, I'm running because I want to do something. Yep. And same thing. I went for my first like 10K run the other day in like, I think I've run maybe 4 times since I did the 100Ks. And I was just like, there isn't anything, there's no mountaintop. So for me to just do it for my health, it doesn't inspire me. And I think that's like the extremist part of you is like, I need like to activate the part of me that wants it. There needs to be some form of like great, something that's going to create some adversity for me to find out who I really am. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there needs to be a level of inspiration internally, and it's which for me comes back to like, well, why do I do anything? And pre like coming back to the story of how my pathway to some extent, I had a breakdown at 27, realized I hated the man that I wasn't living the life that I want, wasn't even living remotely close to the life that I wanted. And bought a one-way ticket to Europe, went on a very
solo exploration of my heart, my soul, and my mind. And I remember sitting in a Buddhist monastery, and I wrote this letter to my father because I hated my dad for a long time. And I wrote this letter to him, and I showed it to the ajna, which is like the head monk in a monastery. You're allowed to book in meetings with him. And he read it, and he looked at me, and he goes, okay, so now what? And I was like, well, I'm right, aren't I? I'm right. Like, tell me I'm right, because it was an aggressive, like, fuck you, you fucked me up, you're a shit dad, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, I don't know. He goes, here you go. Tonight at meditation, we're going to meditate for 3 hours a day, morning and evening. I want you to meditate on how you would have done it better. Take that into your meditation. I was like, what? And he's like, do that as a practice. I was like, that's not an answer to that's not what, and he's like, just do it. I was like, fine. So, I got comfortable, sat in the chair, and I was like, fucking would have done this better in my head. I would have done this better and this better and this better. I would have done that. And this is how I would have done that. Because being a dad's the thing I've wanted my whole life. My whole life I've wanted to be a father so that I could express the love that I wanted to feel as a son. And after 30 minutes of naming all the things I would have done better than my dad, this question popped in of okay, well, how would you do it better? How would you do it better? And, there was a couple of answers, and then it kind of dropped. I was like, okay, well, yeah, how would you do it better? Well, how do you raise healthy children? And I was like, how do you raise a child to go after its dreams, to follow its passion, to do what it wants? But when it doesn't follow the rules that you want it to follow, you punish it, which therefore can potentially shame its desire to break its own rules, to follow its passion. And then all of a sudden I started getting this perplexed, the hypocrisy of being a parent of how do you punish a child but not punish them so much that they're then afraid to follow their own intuition and their own passion? And then all of a sudden I spent 3 days contemplating this, how do you actually be a good parent? It's easy to hate on my dad and say you got it wrong. Yeah. How do you do it better?
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is a perfect segue into this, concept of fatherhood. And I had a call with my group on Wednesday, and one guy said, how can I be sure that I'm making the right decision? And I said, that statement in itself is going to set you up for turmoil. You're going to constantly be, am I making the right decision? How can I be sure that my heart is telling me the right thing? And I said, you're actually asking yourself the wrong question. It's, can I be okay with whatever decision I make? Yeah. And trust that the outcome is the outcome. And then after that, I'll make another decision and another decision. Yeah. And it sounds as though, you were judging your father for the decisions he made and then having to go into the complex, web of, well, how do you actually do it perfectly? How am I going to, and, I just think that this is going to be a great conversation around fatherhood. Celebrating you, bro. Yes. You're becoming a father.
I am.
I'm becoming a father.
Yes, you are.
And it's a week apart. And I don't want to say that we're competitive, but I think he's 1 week ahead.
6 days.
6 days.
But hey, the babies can come whenever they come.
So I'm not.
Maybe your baby's going to be more competitive than my baby.
We'll see. We'll see who gets to the finish line first. But it's just, it's such a running theme in our relationship, bro. Of I kind of want to beat you. Yeah. And the fact when we just brought that above the surface and we're like, hey, let's catch up. And I remember one of the first conversations we had at Social Brew, we literally started talking about our dads and we're both fucking crying at Social Brew having chai, a couple of fucking, coffee bros. It's it was just so funny.
You wanted to say something else there.
Oh, dude, I wanted to say, little beta fucks. It's so funny that we were, but it was such almost like an honoring of oh, dude, I kind of get where you're coming from, and I want you to know that I'm also in it with you. Yeah. But at the same time, let's rub shoulders and let's have a bit of a laugh around this healthy competition. Yeah. But yeah, man, with the fatherhood stuff, I know that you've really wanted it. I know that's been a massive thing for you. What's come up for you since finding out Jade is your partner, right?
Yeah, Jade.
Jade. So, and you guys are engaged. You guys are getting married this year, next year?
Next year.
Next year.
She doesn't want to be pregnant for the wedding.
Of course. Yeah. You definitely want to be able to celebrate and have some fun. And that would be a little hard for her.
And not be fat in the wedding dress is what she wants ultimately. She's beautiful and a little bit vain, and she doesn't want to be fat in a wedding dress.
Yeah, I get it.
And wants to have a beer with her dad. Yeah.
Of course.
Two paramount things.
100%, bro. So, what's come up for you, bro, with the, it's been so beautiful, and I think we can talk about our different, I guess, journeys to landing here, because you and Jade have been together 8 months?
Yeah.
8, 9 months?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, cool. And it's like, and Meg and I have been together nearly 9 years, so we've come from a very different kind of relating style. I think maybe we start there, bro, because like throughout my 20s, I was super conservative when it came to sexuality. I was very, very closed off to my sexuality. I was very, very closed off to anything that wasn't in the spreadsheet. Not to say that I didn't watch a lot of porn and had a lot of shadow desires that were seeping out.
Sure.
But for me, when Meg and I got together, the first 5 years of our relationship was pretty, I would say, vanilla. We did, our path came through deep ceremony with plant medicine, and that was kind of my exposure to infinite possibilities and all these completely new desires. But even so, like the first 5 years, really, we were still very much finding our feet in who we were. And it's not until like the last probably 3 years, since turning 30 to 34, so 3 to 4 years, that I've really felt like I've really come into my own. And I kind of think that's, I've had conversations with other friends in their 30s that are finding partners, life partners, and they're being able to make decisions in a very much a shorter amount of time. And like, I really respect that about you. And we're having a conversation before we started that like, you just, because of the life that you've lived and the experiences that you had, that when you did land in this relationship, there was a deep knowing. And from that, there was still like, oh, wow, are we making the right decision? But that deep knowing is undeniable.
Yeah.
So if you could speak a bit to that, bro, I'd love to know.
No, 100%. Well, I mean, it comes back to like the final point of what I was sharing before was the realization I had in the monastery, in the meditation, was the only way to be a good parent is to be the power of example. Like, how do I inspire my children to follow their dreams if I'm not following mine? Right? You become the hypocrite. And it's not that people, like parents that don't follow their dreams, can't inspire their children, but I want to lead by example, right? I want to be the leader that is doing the things that he is telling other people to do.
So that's kind of like the old saying, do as I say, not as I do is irrelevant. And it's more,
do as I do.
Your children aren't going to listen to you. They're going to watch you.
Exactly. And so, that was like, when I fuck things up, acknowledge that I fuck things up, acknowledge that I don't know everything, acknowledge that I'm still on a journey of learning. But if I want something, go and explore it. Yes. And so from that moment, everything that I did was a journey to explore myself so that I could understand myself, so that I could raise the children the way that they need to be raised, because every child is unique and every child's going to have their own needs. And I'm going to have to manage my own emotional shit in the way of whatever it is they want and need in that moment. And so, the international sex cult, the fucking yoga trainings, the, Ironman I ran last year, all of it was, how do I discover more about myself so that I am more empathetic, compassionate, assertive, sure, and, reflective in being the father that I want to be and the husband and partner that I want to be.
Yo, it's Jacob here. Now I want to talk to you about the Gathering of Men. This is an annual men's retreat that we run in the Gold Coast hinterland over 4 days. This year it's on the 4th till the 7th of October. This is one of the most affordable men's retreats. It's $777. That includes all of your food for the weekend, for the 4 days, Friday to Monday, right? You bring your camping gear and you sleep and spend time on the land with over 200 other men. Men as young as 14, men as old as 80, and all of the ages in between. And we've got incredible lead facilitators this year who are going to be journeying with you over the 4 days through all-in practices, incredible workshops and processes that we've curated to serve you on the deepest level. So you feel really challenged to step up. So you feel really celebrated in your masculine leadership, and you feel a deep connection to your own heart, to the earth, and to the brothers that sit in circle with you, okay? That's what we're devoted to providing. Because when men receive those three things, healthy challenge, honest celebration, and deep connection, they return to their community, to their woman, to their children, to their work, and they give from a different place. They come home and they know that they have the capacity to live freely, love deeply, and serve humbly. And the biggest thing about this retreat, it's not about what happens on the retreat, it's about what we return home with. So we're very, 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 very intentional with how we send you guys home. Integrated, ready to take what you've learned and implement it straight into your daily life. So if you're interested in something like this, like I said, it's $777, Gold Coast Hinterland, the 4th till the 7th of October, one of the biggest men's retreats in Australia. It has changed many men's lives already. We've had over 300 men come through the experience already in the last couple of years. So we're inviting you to be a part of this year. Head to the show notes, click on the link, take a look at the information, and grab your ticket. And women, if you know a man, a husband, a father, a son, a brother, a friend, or a friend of a friend, a cousin, whoever he is, if you know that this retreat is something that will serve this man, I invite you to share it with him. What a gift it would be to be the catalyst for this man to choose to deeply honor himself, and in turn be able to return to you and his community and give like he's never given before from a deep place within himself. Once again, hit the link in the show notes, $777 for 4 days of incredible, powerful men's work led by some of the top men's facilitators in Australia on a beautiful piece of land in the Gold Coast Hinterland, 4th till the 7th of October. I look forward to seeing you in the arena, brothers. Let's go. Yeah.
That was the underlying drive for everything I've ever done since that moment.
And that desire, the desire to be a father, we both share that common, that desire, and it's been deeply set in me for a very long time, as it has you.
Yep.
How did that play out in the shadows? Like, if you weren't able to like really hold that and go on that journey, how was that playing out for you? Like,
yeah, well, I mean, I was having sex with a lot of different women. I was never in a relationship unless I thought that relationship was going to lead to partnership.
Yeah.
So that was something that I held quite pure and quite good throughout my entire relating life of my adolescence. But the shadow side of that was I just fucked as many women as I could, because I was like, yeah, I know you're not the one, but I still want to get laid and have fun and have pleasure. And I would have a lot of unprotected sex, and I would ejaculate inside of a lot of women because there was that subconscious part of me that wanted to be a father. And so there wasn't a lot of consciousness around the whole multiple partners thing until I got into the tantra and the international sex cult and stuff like that, where we did bring more consciousness to it. There's a whole nother layer of shadow inside of that community, though.
Just slight little side note, I got to get give us a crazy story, bro. Just give us a little taste. It doesn't have to be a long one, but is there from that, because like I've been like the little monogamous dude. Like, I've never open related. I've never done crazy shit. I've done, like, Meg and I, we definitely get our freak on and we explore stuff for sure and love it
together.
But like I've never really been in an open space where like multiple, like in an orgy or in a threesome or in any of that. And I, there's still a part of me that's like, I wonder what that's like. But I'm also like, do I need to explore that just to say I've done it?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah. Unless
it becomes a massive desire, and it hasn't been my path, and I can honor that. But if you've got just a cheeky story, bro, for the people.
Oh, there's a couple. I've been in rooms where everyone's got vegetables up their ass, screaming in their soul's purpose from the universe, and that's being facilitated by someone else. You're not doing it yourself. Someone else is doing it too. I've been in blindfolded sex orgies with 60 people, and some people are fucking, some people aren't. Some people are rocking in the fucking corner, like, get the fuck away from me. No one knows who anyone is.
Yeah.
I remember what the first time I went to a mystery school, and we were doing a seeding ritual, right? So a man's seed is sacred, right? So we seed life with it. You and I have both seeded life with it, and a woman's womb is the chamber of secrets, and it carries that that magic creation for 9 months and we have a human. It's phenomenal. And when men jerk off, it's one of those things of like, you come in a sock, you come on your chest, you come in the fucking toilet or down the shower drain.
Yep.
We don't really treat sex with the reverence and with the potential magic that it has. Mm-hmm. So that's what whole sexual manifestation is about. If you're not creating life, what are you creating with your seed? Mm. And so part of, the international sex cult, it's not just a wild sex party all the time. There is intention. So we're doing a seeding ritual where you would ejaculate and your seed had intention, and it was all in a room with everyone. Mm-hmm. So all the men were doing it at one time, and then the women were supporting. And then the roles were reversed because everyone has a masculine and feminine. So the women were seeding, and they were their inner masculine.
Yeah. And
I remember being on my knees jerking off this woman's etheric penis and looking around the room, and all these dudes kind of supporting these women to ejaculate in their masculine frame, energy. And I just shook my head. I was like, if the footy boys could see me now, I'm just like jerking off this chick's imaginary dick. Like, yeah, baby, like, come. And like, I was like, what am I doing?
They're the moments, bro, when you're like, how did I get here?
How did I even get convinced this was a good idea?
That's such a, for me, they're like the leadership moments that matter most. It's like, I'm doing this shit that I never thought I'd do. And I'm like completely breaking all of the rules of my old stories, my old beliefs, and this whole identity that I'm creating. I don't even know if it's going to fucking be better than the old one, but it's the thread that I'm following.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm so grateful that I did all those things.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful because it has made me, there's nothing that freaks me out anymore. I could be with any woman or any man in any capacity, and they could tell me any desire, freaky want or anything. And I'd sit there and go, awesome. If I haven't done it, I've been in a room where it was being done, And so there's just, my nervous system doesn't have any response to that now.
Yeah, sounds like some pretty solid nervous system training.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there were moments where I was not solid in the building of the solidness.
In the proper, and I think just speaking on those mystery schools, I think they do serve a really important purpose for, especially for that the dark masculine and dark feminine cultivation, which is such a in the modern world. For me, I notice a lot of men, especially in forms of sex, don't know how to relate with that.
No.
At all.
No.
And that's something that I really like. That's why I asked those stories. It's so cool to know where you've the depths that you've been to be able to hold yourself in the men's workspace, especially because I know how important the dark masculine energy is in regards to sexuality, because it is such an untapped resource for a lot of men. And it's one of the biggest challenges. It's one of the things that a lot of men seek the deepest relief from.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also believe it's one of the deepest yearnings of the feminine is to be ravished with love from that dark masculine archetype, knowing that it feels scary, but ultimately she knows that she's safe.
Yeah.
And that's what allows this complete surrender, which for me is the ultimate form of pleasure. You can't feel any pleasure unless you're in surrender.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, bro. That's well fucking beautifully put. So we'll circle back. Jade's pregnant. You guys are on the journey. Similar to Meg and I. What does it mean becoming a father, and what do you feel was the tipping point coming into this relationship that allowed you to actually fully create the deepest desire that you've had, actually set the wheels in motion and have it coming into your reality? What do you feel was was there a humbling moment in the last sort of year or two that has landed that for you? Yeah.
So again, it's been the deepest yearning for a long time. And my last relationship was only 9 months long, but we were open relating. We were in the middle of all the trainings and everything. And we did a bunch of trainings together, which kind of rapidly shortens the amount of time you need to spend with someone to know someone.
Yes.
Right. So, but it was, we were open. She was having sex with a number of dudes without kind of checking in, and it was creating a lot of mistrust, which then created hypersexuality and hyperarousal because nervous system was in fight or flight. Mm-hmm. And it took me a long time to disengage from her.
Yeah.
Right. Energetically, physically, emotionally, mentally. I had to end up deleting every single picture and video on my phone and everything like that, because I would keep looking back at it and I would keep myself entangled with it. Mm-hmm. And this was during COVID, we broke up and everything. Well, we broke up just before COVID. So, was in isolation. So it was kind of a convenient time on some level to do some deep inner stuff.
Yeah.
And as I started to re-enter the dating scene, it was like, I knew what I want. I knew I want to get married and have kids, and this is like 4 years ago now. So I was 33 and I was like, I feel more ready than I've ever felt. But every time I started to get involved with someone, there was still all this scar tissue coming up from that relationship, mistrust. Like and even now I still have aspects of mistrust with the feminine.
Yeah.
And I've watched that play out in different ways and shapes over the last few years. And when I moved to the Gold Coast, part of my intention was like, if I don't have a girlfriend in 6 months, I'm going to South America because I'll definitely fall in love over there real quick.
6 months or else.
Yeah. And then I didn't have a relationship for 6 months and that didn't happen, but other things happened. I ended up having to recommit to live here for a little while. And I kind of slipped back into some old ways of like, not letting women close, fucking around.
Do you think that's a shadow of the men's workspace? You just like bro down hard at all? Do you feel that at all? Like because you moved up and you started you've got your Advanced Man Academy and you're like full charge men's coaching, and then also tapping into Brotherhood Gold Coast. They're a local men's movement that focus on personal development, not just in the gym but in all areas of life.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing social media for a long time, and I think because there are not many men talking about men's sexuality, and I really focused hard on that for a long time. And we're talking about the ravishment and the dark mask. It was like you cop a lot of projections, and a lot of women desire that so much that they're willing to, there's a lot of those hyper masculine dudes talking about men can fuck as many women as they want and it's okay and blah, blah, blah. And it's, there's subtle truths to those analogies because women desire something so much they are willing to override certain boundaries that they may have in place for a deeper desire of family and connection. And I found that, and there's a lot of talk also about gurus in the space using their power to have sex with participants and stuff. And while I was never facilitating anything, I think there was still that power imbalance, like this projection of you have a thing that I want and I'm prepared to be one of the many in order to receive a piece of it.
Yeah.
And so what that does is then that brings out my shadow of like, oh, it's fine, it's free and everyone's conscious, everyone knows, everyone's aware. And it stopped me acknowledging my deepest desire, which was a wife and family.
Yeah.
And so, there's definitely a shadow there in that space. And then entering the men's space, like having my academy and also Brotherhood Gold Coast, the projections are still there.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, this cunt's done some crazy shit, man. Like, fuck, and so there's just this, like Andrew Tate has power because he holds the projection that people put on him. And that's all power is. Like a famous person is famous because we project fame or popularity or importance onto them.
Yeah, we hold that perception of them.
Yeah, and so we give them that power, and if you don't know how to deal with it, it fucks with you, and it does bring out the not so best parts of you. And so, in order for me to get away from that, I went celibate last year from New Year's Eve was my commitment to myself. And it wasn't like, I'm not having sex till I meet the one. It was, I'm not having sex till I'm in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, it's like my actions not aligning with my desires. It's like saying, I want to get rich. And then I fucking spend all my money on takeout food.
Yeah.
And cars and this and that.
Yeah.
It's like my actions not aligning with my desires. So if my desire is to have a family and get married, sleeping with multiple women continuously, they're not aligning. So I was like, I'm not having sex until I'm dating someone, and I'm not going to date someone unless I perceive a relationship. So they were the parameters that I put in.
Yeah.
I met someone, we went on a couple dates. I was like, oh, this has a bit of potential. We had sex a couple times, realized that it wasn't that. A week later, I met Jade.
It's almost like when you like do the thing that you need to do to get what you want, when you actually like, even if it's just for like, it's almost that click of the decision more so than the time frame. It's like, I'm now devoted to this. This is me. I'm finally going to stop drinking my own bullshit.
Yeah. So when you're 100% in, shit happens real quick.
Yep.
Real quick.
Yep.
But that was 7 months, right? And 7 months feels like a long time when you have disconnected yourself from women in order to like when I have cleaned myself up, and like, you know, I was also training for my Ironman, so I was fucking running, swimming and riding a lot as well.
Yeah.
So Saturday night, man, I spent a lot of Saturday nights crying alone, you know, cooking myself an amazing dinner because I needed to eat heaps of food, but then also sitting there and be like, what's fucking wrong with me? Like, I'm not Brad Pitt, but I'm not ugly. I'm fit, I'm active, I can cook, I can clean, I can fuck like a porn star, you know, like I'm conscious, I'm aware of my own patterns and habits and blah, blah, blah. And I started to get quite down through that process. And I had to keep coming back to faith, right? So number one quality in the Advanced Man Academy is faith. And it doesn't have to be faith to God. It can be faith to whatever it is you believe in. But I had to come back to faith that it was the right path, that I was doing the right thing, that, you know, it was me testing myself against myself to prove to myself that I can do the things that I need in order to get what I want.
Yes.
And I did.
Man, that faith is it's an untapped resource for a lot of men. And it's like you choosing to build a relationship with your faith. Like that's it. It's like, I've got to have faith in this. Like, and it sounds as though you almost like learned, it's almost like you had to like look, so I'm going to look after myself. Yeah. I'm going to look after me.
Yep.
And that's a massive thing for anyone that's leading a movement. I don't know if there's any other men out there listening, but like if you have a tendency to lean towards leadership and you want to help the world harmonize and you want to, you know, support men or women or whatever it is, there's going to be moments where you have to like, actually, is this what I want? Is this serving me? Yep. And when I come home at the end of the day, do I have what I want here for me?
Yep.
That was huge for me, bro, with my own men's work journey too. It was like, am I doing this because it's a wound, or am I doing this because am I doing this alongside also honoring what I need? And that's, you know, I had to set a lot of boundaries with my people pleaser and like cut a lot of relationships off, not because that person wasn't a good person. It was because that I was showing up and creating a dynamic where I needed to always be something for them.
Yeah.
And I think that like what it sounds like for you is like you had to cut off those more casual sexual relationships to be like, hey, I don't actually want many relationships. I want the one relationship that's going to give me access to the next stage of my life.
Yeah.
And as soon as you did that, it wasn't long.
Yeah. No, 7 months really in the grand scheme of things is not long at all.
Yeah.
And, you know, and so and you say like, oh, how do, you know, so I proposed after 4 months.
Yeah.
You know, and no one does that these days.
No one fucking does it. That's a fucking Mormon shit. That's what that's.
And it was like, and she got pregnant that night when I proposed, right? On Christmas Day at mum and dad's house after a day of partying at Christmas time.
Oh, bro.
It was, and you know, funny story. She'll be fine. My sister had a baby on September 11 last year.
Yeah, I remember you going back to meet. Yeah.
And she got pregnant at mum and dad's house as well.
Really?
Like, so the same, like basically a year after she got pregnant at mum and dad's house, my fiance now got pregnant at mum and dad's house. So it's like mum and dad's house seems to be the fertility house.
Fertile grounds down in South Australia.
Down in South Australia, Gawler.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Yeah. But and you know, for me, you know, it wasn't a phenomenal, like a hot air balloon. It was on Christmas Day. It was the last present given when we do our family presents on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
You know, I live up here. My family's in Adelaide. Her family's in America. So there was never a chance of doing it all in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And my family don't really get a lot of time in my life because they're down there. Now I go there 3-4 times a year.
Yeah.
But as far as like down the road, it's not a reality.
Yep.
And so for me, being able to share that moment with my family was really important. And that was why I just bit the bullet and did it on Christmas. And like, because the 3 months leading into that, like we just moved in together a month before and we were kind of like, is this real? Like, are you really who you say you are? Like I was kind of waiting for this crazy moment where she was going to blow up and ever shit was going to go out of control. She's like, it's not going to happen. That's not who I am. And same thing for her, you know, and I was like, fuck it. I just know. And actually the medicine ceremony that I came to with you.
Oh yeah.
That was where, cause I came in with the intention of like, okay, I want to let go of absolutely every little bit that
you were talking about the scar tissue. That's right.
Scar tissue to my ex, right? I was like, I want to let it go. And what came up that ceremony? Propose to Jade. You want to let go of the scar tissue? Completely move on. Yeah.
Take the leap of faith.
Yeah. And I did.
Dude, that's, it sounds, and we were talking, we talked about this before, but it's almost like how safe something can feel can almost be like something has to be wrong here. This cannot actually be the thing that I've always wanted.
No. Or it can't be this easy to get.
Yeah. Everything else has not been 100, like this is 100% it. What the fuck am I?
Yeah.
There's got to be some catch here. And for me, safety is one of the most unfamiliar things when it comes to the feminine. I have been terrified of the feminine my whole entire life due to conditional love and having to perform and jump through hoops to get love. And there's been so many times where Meg's like, I'm not going to leave you. And I'm like, no, I don't actually know that.
Even no matter how many times you tell me, I still don't know that.
And yeah, man, that's been huge for me with becoming a father. It's like I just have not felt like it's been a cunt of a 2 months for me, like really. And business has been hard. Life has been hard. Moving house, logistics, everything's been fucking hard for me.
Yeah,
I say that from a place of very, very highly entitled white privilege. It's been hard for me, not for. I'm not basing that off everyone else, but for me, it's been one of the darkest couple of months of my life where I've questioned everything and my worthiness. I'm like, I think Meg has to leave me. I do not have $1 million in the bank. I don't have the house. We don't have the big enough car. I'm not going to be able to do this. I cannot do this is not something I say very fucking often. It's only when something I really fucking want comes online. And that's been, we were messaging and like, dude, let's do a podcast about this. Cause I was like, dude, it's been so hard to be okay with the fact that I'm getting what I've always wanted.
Yeah.
It's been so hard to be like, Jacob, you're getting what you wanted.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, man. How good is it?
Yeah.
And like I remember when I rang you and we told each other, we were just like, I hopped off. I was just like, how cool is it to have men in my life I can call and share and be celebrated by, and have other men telling me the things that they're, instead of taking the piss,
your life's going to change. It's going to get hard now. Fucking, you're in all sorts of trouble. I copped a lot of that.
And like telling you and like having that reflected back, and we're just like, bro, how? And like, I just get to be grateful rather than like in this fear. But yeah, having Meg just be like, hey, I'm not going to leave you. Hey, it's going to be okay. Hey, we can do this. Has been like, I don't know how many times I've had to like remember or like have those realizations of like, oh, it's okay for me to be happy. It's okay for me to be loved. It's okay for me to get what I want. And that's not going to hurt anyone else.
Yeah, 100%. It's, I was watching a video the other day with Mike Tyson, and he goes, God's going to give you everything you want to see if you can handle it, and I'm glad God didn't give me what I wanted 10 fucking years ago.
Yep.
Because I would have crumbled, because we were talking about this in the text messages. It's like I've worked with a lot of dudes and over the years, and a lot of guys have, left before their baby was born, or left as their baby was born, or left just after their baby was born because they couldn't handle it, or there's, all these things coming up. And I've had a lot of compassion for those men over the last few months, because I've never felt so insecure about myself as I have the last couple of months. I was in a better, quote unquote, better financial position at 25, having bought 2 houses and working every day. And like, because there was a system to the go to work, get paid, live according to my budget, pay off the mortgages, there was, that was what I was so used to and accustomed to. But, wanting to be the father that I want to be and the husband I want to be. So following my dreams and chasing my own goals, working for myself, having my own company, being the creator, the visionary, the fucking video editor, the blah, blah, blah of all those things. Life's not so secure as it is just working for a job, working in a job, getting $1,200 a week or whatever it is, And that makes me even less secure. Even though I earn more money, it makes me less secure because it's not as stable. And because I've done 10 years now of like, I sold my fucking houses, I went traveling, I lived in Buddhist monasteries, walked across 5 countries, lived in India, became a fucking hippie, like I lived in India for 4 months in like Slumsville. Like I've learned so much, and it has made me a phenomenal human. And I believe I'm still going to fuck it up, but it's going to make me a phenomenal dad too, because I have experience and practice and patience that I never had 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm going to get it perfect. I still know I'm going to fuck it up. But it did in many ways stop me buying the third house, the other house, reinvesting. You know, I spent all my money in me rather than on the future.
Yeah.
And now, you know, and I read all my finance books. I'm really up in my money game at the minute.
Yeah.
And everyone is like, save and invest. If you compound from 20 instead of 40, you have an extra $800,000. And I'm like, but I'm fucking 40 nearly. I'm 37. So that information doesn't help me, right? It's like, so it does. It's like, yeah, we live in a nice house. I've got a nice car. We make enough money. And since finding out she's pregnant, I've been the most stressed I've ever been in my entire life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. You could have just spoken on behalf of me as well.
Yeah.
That insecurity, because like I make more money now than I had ever before. Definitely my lifestyle's upped as well, and I spend more and all that sort of stuff. But I just had this visualization of going to like when my baby's crying and I'm holding him, like, but look, daddy's got $1 million in the bank. You shouldn't be crying. I'm secure in myself. It's like, is that going to actually look? Don't worry, you're going to be able to afford nappies next week. Don't worry, we're going to be able to afford to stay here in this house. It's like, that's not what our baby is going to remember. It's going to remember how I breathe, how I root into who I am and hold her. And I want to sing and I want to be present. I want to be like, that's for me really important. And what I took from you and all the crazy shit you've done, bro, because you've done some crazy fucking shit, is that when your child comes to you and confides in you that they want to take a path that is not the status quo, that wants to do something that maybe even might be out of your jurisdiction as well, you'll be able to breathe into the version of you that took that leap, that went and spent 4 months in the slums, and be like, if it feels true, follow your heart, because you've done it, right? You're going to have that awareness. You're going to have the capacity. And it doesn't matter what's in your bank account at that point, because you're going to be able to say, yes, that is, go for it. And you're going to go through, are they going to be okay? And that's the thing that I've been journeying with as well. It's like, fuck, man, like I'm getting everything that I want. What if I lose it?
Yeah.
And some of this stuff, I haven't spoken to Meg about this, but I'm happy to share it. Cool. Yeah, we still got another 10 minutes before we hit an hour. I just like, even the way that my head has like been like freaking out about shit.
Yeah.
And I grew up taking responsibility for everyone's emotional state in my family. That was my fucking shtick. I was like hyper fucking vigilant. And it's why I really struggle to relax in group environments. Unless I've got, like, I step into someone that I hold something similar that I do, where I can actually stop and relax. But if I step into like a party or anything, like I've kind of got that like military style, but on an emotional kind of, I don't check the exit points, but I check the energy, the emotional landscape. And I'm like, fuck, man, this is exhausting. Yeah. But,
I used to know which floorboards creaked in my house so that I could walk down the hallway and not wake up dad.
Yeah. It's fucked how hyper vigilant I was. But what that made me sort of, how that translated into this like journey of becoming a father and Meg being pregnant was like, I've got to think about absolutely every possible thing that could go wrong. And there was times where I'd wake up I haven't told Meg this, I will have to tell her after, but I'd wake up and I'd be like, I'd pull the blanket up, and like, is there any blood here? Has she miscarried? Like I was literally having like these fears of like something terrible has happened. Something terrible must have happened. And I've got to be aware, I've got to check to see if it's happened. And like the thought of like I so believe in this woman. Like these are all my shit. I want to own that. I so believe in this woman's capacity to birth a baby in the way that she knows she can. But like, what if Meg dies when she has this baby, and I've got to like be with this baby, and I'm the only one, and she leaves? Fuck. What if the baby? And then I've been having like, what if I run over the baby? I'm like, how is the baby going to get outside underneath the car when it's a week old? I'll be having all of this crazy shit of like, I'm going to fuck. Essentially, it's like, I'm not going to get what I want, and I'm going to fuck it up.
Yeah.
And none of those thoughts are really, truly rational, right?
Yeah.
They're all born of this deep fear and vigilant of like, fuck, I need to think about every possible scenario. And that insecurity has been, it's been really fucking hard. And what I've had to do, the humility, I would love to know what you've done to help temper that and maybe fortify a little bit more of that belief and that confidence in because you are one of these men that I trust that can, once you say you're going to do it, you're going to do it regardless.
Yeah.
I had a chat to a couple of guys that are fathers, and they fucking put all of that bullshit to bed for me. And it was the most freeing feeling. And these are the guys that I didn't realize had that wisdom to give me. And I kind of had been like holding everyone at arm's length because I wanted to figure it out myself. And once I had the conversation with them, I was like, so pram's like $1,000, car seat's like a couple of $100 or whatever. It's like, so this is like a $3,000 or $4,000 and we're good to go. I was like, so that $1 million in the bank isn't necessary right now. That 100 clients paying me $10,000 a month, so I'm like earning the most I've ever earned, having all of the things in place. It's like, all of that is going to be a continual relationship I build with my business, and I do want to kick goals and do all that, but
100%.
not because it's going to create this sense of security and I'm going to be the best dad because I've done all that.
Yeah. No, what's amplified, there's two things that I can resonate with where you're saying I wish I was further ahead than I am now. Not from a financial viewpoint of like we got the massive house on Talabudra Valley or anything like that, purely so I can be like, baby's born, I'm taking 3 months off life and I'm just going to spend time with my wife and with my baby.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's been the biggest inspiration now. Like the money is the motivator so that I can have the time, or at a bare minimum, so Jade can have the time.
Yes.
And what's really sparked is like, I will work underground for the rest of my life if that was what was necessary, so that Jade could take whatever time she needed off, return to work as she wanted rather than as is needed. And yeah, it's like that core, like I will be of service until I die if that is what is required. That's really been active. But it's also inspired a lot of like, okay, let's push the business more so that we can have the time back. Because what I realize is like my greatest love language is just quality time. And the second thing is I've not had any fear of like killing my baby. My fear is, what if it's going to sound really bad, I have nothing against gay or trans people or anything like that, but what if they ask, like they're so far left field for me that they're like, they become a gay, regardless of their gender, a gay or non-binary human that hates everything about me as a man. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
It's not so much that I'll run them over or anything like that. It's like, what if they grow into a human that despises everything about me as a man? That's my greatest fear. And I mean, if they're gay, they're gay. Like, I'm not going to not love my child. It's like, but if it's that rebellious part that then hates everything that's not what they are, that's what I really struggle to even comprehend how I could respond to that. Anything outside of that, I feel like I've got at least a 60% chance of managing. That is like, I've got no idea.
Yeah,
I've got no idea. And as that theme amplifies in our world more and more, regardless of whether it's right or wrong, it's not what I'm here to say, but it's like the fact that is amplifying more and more, the chances of that happening increase.
Yeah.
And I've got no idea how I would respond to that. I've got trans friend and I've got gay friends, and so it's not really something absent from my life.
Yeah.
But to be that close to me, no idea.
Yeah, that'd be, whatever the path is for both of us, we'll walk it, willingly, but at the same time, it's like, that'll offer deep inner reflection, no doubt. And man, like the biggest thing for me, like that I'm learning is like I've been reading all the books around like bringing up a child,
parenting,
and all of this shit, bro. I'm just like, fucking read another book about it, Jacob.
Yeah.
But really, like one of the things that I really I'm really conscious of is that I'm looking forward to offering my child is like, here's the rules to life, and here's some structure, and I'm going to give you the grace to go out and live your life. And if you do, if you do break the rules, I'm going to create a system that allows you to know that, hey, you've stepped outside the boundary. Let's bring you back in, but I'm not going to make you wrong. I'm not going to make it about you're not going to be punished in a way that makes you feel like you inherently are wrong. But I'm going to give you the guidelines, and even if you don't like me for a little bit, you're going to understand when you're a little older. And that to me, like, I had a lot of hang-ups around my dad not letting me do shit. And inherently I'm like, okay, I see why now.
Yeah.
I remember all of my mates, they built a go-kart and they're all going out camping, drinking. And I think I was 15, they were 15, and Dad said, I know you're not going to like this, mate, but you're not going. I said, yeah, but all my mates are going. And he said, and you're not. And that was it. Like, and he didn't give, and like my dad could definitely do with some more contextual communication skills.
Yeah.
And I get it. But at the same time, you know, he said, listen, it's not happening, mate. You're not going out there. I don't know the person's parents, and I don't trust them. Literally. And I was like, fuck. So I probably went and played fucking Lego by myself or did something fucking weird.
Yeah.
Isolated and constantly felt alone shit. But upon reflection, I'm like, you know, he was being the man and the father I needed him to be, even though I didn't like it.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that there's going to be moments that challenge me, because I'll probably want to be the exact opposite of being like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, come on, explore your edges, go and do this, live your life. But
the reality of them being saying, I want to do this, and you go, oh, that's bringing up fear for me right now.
Definitely. And it's also the part of, you know, I said this on a thing around, you know, I got a little brother, and like I'm scared of him dying as well, because he has the same fucking core essence that like seeks out greatness that I do, that seeks to live, to meet his edge and to do crazy shit, and almost like, you know, limit a bash life, like get it into the red. And I think that that's the thing that I love about people the most, is when they do find that. And it's also the thing that I'm like, oh fuck, it's okay if I do it, because if I die, it's all good, but don't you do it, because I love you and I'm attached to you. Yeah, and exactly. I think, you know, there's going to be for me, it's like, and I'd love to sort of tie this into the ending. And I feel like there's going to be, you know, I feel like the next one we do, bro, we're going to be holding our babies and smiling for the camera. But this won't be at the ending of this conversation. But for me, the other part of this is like, man, I'm going to have to learn to, like, I'm going to experience a love I've never had before. And fuck me if that's going to be easy for me to let myself have that, like let that love in. It sounds like almost like you said that before, when like you're like, is this really that good? Like, is hey, like, am I actually allowed to receive this kind of love? Yeah. Is going to be like, I am genuinely, not concerned, but I'm genuinely, it's going to be cool to see what happens in my body when this all comes to fruition. Yeah. It's going to be like, wow, okay, this is a new sensation. And I think the work that you do and the work that I do is really about getting men back into their bodies so they can fully experience not just the hardships, but also the beautiful moments of life. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for all of the work that I've done. And, you know, we've had a few, you know, we went and did ceremony together, and we're starting to do, and I feel like we've got something that we're going to do together to sort of initiate ourselves into fatherhood. We've got that brewing right now. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's so cool to know that, you know, we're living in our bodies, and we're going to get just in that opportunity to like receive this sensation of like holding my child for the first time, watching my woman birth, give birth to the thing the seed that I planted 9 months ago. Like, I am so it's going to be such a beautiful experience to have that through the body rather than dissociate. And I'm so grateful that I've done the work, and you know, no doubt this is something that I feel you resonate with as well. Yeah. So there's two things that really come up for me. One is the how are my values going to change once the baby arrives? You know, because it's easy to be like yourself first, your wife second, your children third. You know, I tell all of my clients that, right? Like, you've got to put yourself first. You've got to put your wife in relationship second. You've got to put your kids third. They've got to know that the relationship is more important than the children, because if the relationship fails, the kids don't get the best out of the parents. Am I going to be able to live that when it happens? Can you actually truly hold that? I feel like I do the same shit. Like, you got to put yourself first. It's like, cunt, try it on now. Like, when we're holding this thing, we're like, and it's screaming at 3 a.m. and you're like, I got to go to sleep, baby. Sorry. I'm just going to do a post. Actually, can you just shut up? I'm doing a live. It's like, and I think that's, you know, man, it's an honor to see, and you know, I witnessed you first, and then it was hesitant, and then engaged with you, and found a brother that, like, beneath the stories is very much aligned with the values that I have. And, I think there is going to be a massive initiation once the children are here for us to actually embody a lot of the work that we have been leading.
Yeah.
Which means that we're only going to deepen more into service.
Yeah.
And, you know, we could go and do FIFO and pay for everything and go and work underground and build a tunnel from here to China and make all the money in the world to keep our women safe and certain and our children secure and have access to all the things. But, you know, some of my best memories with my family when we're all together eating fucking hot chips. Like it wasn't about the money, you know, and my little brother, this is, you know, and some of my favorite, I remember we had this holiday, man, at Evans Head, and we're staying in an A-frame caravan, 6 of us, and we're sleeping out on these fucking canvas bunkers and we're fishing down off the pier. And I remember that holiday as one of the greatest. I remember us all being together and us all being happy.
Yeah.
And then my little brother talks about the best holiday he ever had. We went up to the BMX, big BMX competition in Sydney, and my family all stayed in a 1-bedroom motel. And he said, and he came home from that, he's like, that was the best holiday I've ever been on. I just think, man, like it's your ability to be with the family, to be present and do
proximity.
do what you need to do to create that security in yourself. And if that's getting your money shit sorted, get it sorted. If that's getting your emotional intelligence and your ability to be in your body sorted, get it sorted. You know, we've all got our shadows. We've all got the thing that we need to sort out.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's going to happen anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You may as well surrender and actively seek it out to work on it, as opposed to God or the universe or whatever forcing it to happen to you.
That, and I want to come back to the key thing that you teach the guys in your course, in your academy, is faith. And faith creates humility. And I think both you and I have had many humbling experiences over the last couple of years in business and in like, we're going to change the entire culture of Australia this year. Just watch me.
Yeah.
And I think that we're learning that, hey, like we have to have faith that over our lifetime, we're going to have impact in the way that we need to. We're going to be supported in the way that we need to give what we want and receive what we desire. And if we can just be able to meet the moment and bring ourselves into the present moment and almost like what you said, surrender and relax and know that it will be what it will be. We'll actually be able to enjoy what we've always fucking wanted since we were probably fucking 3.
Yeah, 100%. You know, so it's, how do my values change when that baby's born? Can I live to the thing that I say that I'm going to live? And can I make them a capable human to deal with life's challenges? You know, like they're my questions to myself. It's like, I'm not going to get it right. I'm going to make my child suffer in multiple ways on purpose and suffer with them, you know, like, hey, and teach them consequences. That, like, for me, they're the 3 big things that I can do for them. And I will initiate myself through the process of trying to teach them those things. You know, it's like, if I teach my child, you can make whatever choice you want. Whatever choice you do make, there will be a consequence. And as long as you're aware of the consequences, I'm going to then empower you to make the choice that you want, knowing that if you do this, this is going to happen. And if you do that, this is going to happen. You make the choice, and whatever choice you make, you suffer the consequences, or you rejoice in the consequences. And I'm going to be the one that upholds the consequences, but you still make the choice. That's kind of going off what you said before. But then for me, that's going to be the test of will of like, can I be can I punish when I need to punish, and can I love when I need to love, and can I stay true to my word regardless of what is happening around me, you know? And for me, that's going to be the biggest lesson that I then take into the men's workspace. You know, it's like everything works in theory.
Yep.
But yeah, let's get our hands dirty and see what happens in the practical.
Looks good on paper. Let's try it out, bro.
Yeah. But for the first 2 years, it's just going to be shitty nappies and late nights.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. And rejoicing in that. And I think there's a, like for me, what I keep telling myself is like, this is only going to deepen my purpose more.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful that I've found something that I want to do for the rest of my life, even though it's hard, even though it's difficult. And I get to still do that whilst having the family. I get to still build my business over the next 10 years while still having the family dinners and the weekends away at the caravan parks and doing that. And I'm not going to wait until I've got all my shit figured out to be okay with receiving this, because that's just not the way life works. Life is going to continue to happen regardless.
Yep. It's always, I find, for me, life's a shepherd or a sheepdog. And it's like, it's going to herd you the direction that you should go. And the more you rebel, the more you try to, the snappier the bites get from the sheepdog, or the bigger the hits get from the shepherd. and I've not listened to the universe many times, and they end up being big Mike Tyson haymakers to put me back in alignment, And so for me, the journey is keep listening. Don't have to, so I don't have to get Mike Tyson punched in the face as often, because that's only going to make it harder to be a husband and be a parent if I'm constantly being bitch slapped by the universe,
Yeah, man. Yeah, 100%. And like, I think the thing that I really admire in you and a couple of my other close friends who are fathers or journeying with this is that there's a level of humility and a long-term focus now.
Yep.
Up until, my 30s, and I feel this from you and a couple of Pete and a few of my other friends, we're all relaxing into this almost like 10, 20, 30 year vision. And we're knowing that, hey, maybe I don't have the house that I want, that I think I need, or maybe I don't have all of my ducks in a row, but I've got time to do that. I've got so much time, and I get to be witnessed by my children as I do that, and be seen as a human as I do that. And that's a fucking beautiful, beautiful gift.
And it's the biggest lesson I got from the Iron Man. It's like, it's just one step, one stroke, one push at a time. And it's like, you can't rush a 14-hour race.
Yeah, you can't.
Like, you're going to have moments of, I feel great, everything's working. And you have moments of, if I take one more step, I'm going to die and everything hurts and I can't eat and I can't move and my asshole is burning from chafe and my toes are blistered. And then that will get over and you'll find a good spot again. So, yeah.
You can go and do a quantum transformational breakthrough experience in a conference room for 3 days and have all of your breakthroughs, but you can't quantum leap a 14-hour Ironman. Yeah,
or a 15-hour 100-kilometer race.
You can't. It brings you back into the humbleness of being a physical human, and finding that faith in hey, I fucking got this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately, it's always faith in yourself, because you put your faith in something else that is going to give you the power to do what you need to do.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Jiggy moo.
Bro, for anyone listening, Tyran and I want an initiatory experience. We're brewing something up for our step into fatherhood. So we're a week apart in regards to the due dates around the time. So that's going to be end of September, mid to late September is kind of the arena. So we're probably thinking around doing something around August. I'm feeling you're in the country in August, or
back on the 16th
of August.
Yep.
Cool. So maybe late August, bro. We do something fucking ridiculous.
Yep.
So if you've got any ideas for us, we're Gold Coast based. It'd be good if it was around here.
Yeah.
We're open to doing something for 24 hours straight. If you've got something for us, so feel free to shoot us either of us a DM. And bro, this has been I think for us as leaders, being able to have these conversations and not feel alone is really important. So man, like, regardless of just this podcast, I'm excited to continue to converse around fatherhood and what we're stepping into.
100%, man. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, fuck, I want to talk to this cunt more. And I'm really glad you're in Palm Beach. It's like literally 12 minutes down the road now.
Dude, yeah, we're getting closer and closer. So, bro, I'll put all your details in the show notes. Is there anything that you want to drop on the crew? This will probably go out in the next, within the next month. So is there anything that you've got for the listeners that you're launching or you've got available right now?
Yeah, we're about to do another intake for the Advanced Man Academy.
Yep.
It's a super affordable accountability program. We focus on health, wealth, relationships, three areas in your life that you can constantly advance. So yeah, we're doing a free event on May the 11th. If it comes out before then, it's at Burleigh Head Surf Club. If not, jump on the replay or something. So that's for dudes from 9 till 2. It's a bit of a strategy mapping session to show you all the maps and models we use inside the academy. And if it jams with you, jump on. If it doesn't, all good. And I've got my next Advanced Man weekend, which I'd still love for you to come along to.
Dude, yeah.
June 28, 29, 30. So it's going to cap off the first 6 months of the year. So yeah, it's a 48-hour men's experience where You want to see death? Well, I'm going to bury you underground with a snorkel. So yeah,
One of the practices.
One of many practices to help you face off with death. But yeah, it's a 48-hour men's journey. I love it. We'll sell it out. We'll have 40 blokes this year.
And I've spoken to a couple of the guys that have been to the last. I think you've done that like 3 or 4 times. And a couple of the guys that have been, they're just like, bro, never done anything like that. And it's not like. It's like, fuck, I didn't know I was capable of doing shit like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a beautiful gift to give, man. It's like, because then they come back and it's like, the fucking washing, I need to do the washing, not a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Well, I need to go to work and make, not a fucking problem because I just got fucking buried on the weekend.
The old me's dead anyway, so now it's the new me.
This is me, motherfucker, let's go.
Nah, so yeah, they're the 2 things that are coming up. Other than that, man, I'm just living life and going to America to see the missus family soon, so can't wait for that.
Gets to be this good, bro.
Yeah. Oh, if you're a woman, I'm about to buy 2 hairdressing salons. One's at Reedy Creek, one's in Casuarina. If you want your hair cut, come along.
How good. Dude, yeah, you are a fucking enigma. I love it, bro. Thanks for keeping me on my toes.
No worries, my pleasure.
Right on, bro. Bless up, everyone. Big love. Talk soon.
Bye.
Peace.